Hello, friends. It's your boy Jeff with you here again with another contest entry video. It's the only way I can make content these days. I'm almost through the book I'm reading. Haven't played a record in several days. Hoping to play one later today. Maybe I can talk my wife into listening with me. But in the meantime, like I said before, there were a couple of contests I wanted to get into. People that I've wanted to support, who I love. This time around, it's my good buddy Steve Carlson, who hit the 1,000 subscriber mark, which is fantastic. That's a somewhat rare achievement. And if you guys follow Steve's channel, which I'm sure you all do, if you're watching me, I'm sure you're watching his channel too. You know he puts out his early Sunday morning videos. And when I'm on third shift, usually I'm able to catch them the most regular because Chicago time, they usually come up like around 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So my shift is kind of just ending, and it's usually pretty quiet around that time in the morning. And I'm able to tune in and check out the interesting things that Steve has been listening to. And of course, he's one of the, he's not only is he one of my favorite VCers, but he's one of the top ones that I would love to meet. So the invitation is still open whenever you hit Chicago, Steve. I'll cook dinner for you. I'm probably not as good as Eric. I'm no chef. I'm just a recipe follower. But I do okay in the kitchen. So it may not be too exotic. It may not be too weird. But I guarantee it'll taste good. So anyway, Steve is running a contest for his milestone. And it's a simple idea for a contest, which I love. It's not complicated. You just have to name your minimum five go-to albums. These are the albums that always deliver every time you listen to it. Things that you've played over and over and still love. And I've got 5 right here, all lined up and ready to go. And you just have to tell a little bit about why this record is one of your go-tos. So there's really not going to be anything too exotic or too rare or too weird in these 5. Be that as it may. That's just my taste, and these are the albums that I grew up with that I still love even to this day. First one, Frampton Comes Alive. What really needs to be said about this album? I have this on vinyl. I have it on CD. I have it on MP3, although my iPod I think it's finally starting to die. I have an iPod Classic, and it's I think it's over 10 years old now, and the battery just isn't really working anymore. I'll charge it up, and then a day later, it's completely dead. So I may have to look into a new battery for that thing. But anyway, Frampton Comes Alive is easily one of my favorite albums. You're going to see it. You're going to notice a theme among these 5, and it's easy for you to figure out. So here's the back, just kind of gate folds out. And I just love, I love the songs. I can put this on anytime. And another theme is that all these albums usually make me feel good. And all of them feature great lead guitar work too. That's another theme, which is just my taste. But I own this in just about every format there is, except cassette. I don't think I have this on cassette. But I don't play cassettes anymore, so it doesn't matter. I'm babbling. Frampton Comes Alive is my first one. Up next is another album that I played endlessly and also owned on every format, is the Allman Brothers Band at Fillmore East. The Allman Brothers hold the record for a band I've seen live the most. A lot of that was based off of this, just because, here's the back cover here, I'm just showing it to you real quick. This is another album that I'm pretty sure everybody is familiar with, or at least has heard of. Just the live version of Liz Reed does it for me every time, even if I listen to nothing else on this album. But lucky for me, the rest of this album is pretty great too. And I know this has been remastered and reissued and re-released. This is a Pink Capricorn label. I think this is an earlier pressing. You know, it's got the older Capricorn Records label on it. I've showed this before. The CD version I have is called the Fillmore Concerts, where it puts all of the songs on this album more or less in order, and it adds some songs from the Eat a Peach album and kind of makes it all into one cohesive show. I know this has been re-released and remastered on, I think it put all the 3 nights of the show that they played at the Fillmore East in order. Yeah, it's just a high water mark for this band. Great live blues rock band at the peak of their powers, and even to this day it still delivers. So that's always gonna be in my stack of albums that I'll just grab that I know I'm gonna love. Allman Brothers. Yes, Allman Brothers. Another one. Glad to be able to show this one off again. Stevie Ray Vaughan, Texas Flood. This is the One Step MoFi edition. Like I said before, when I talked about Robert Cray, you know, guys like him and Stevie Ray was my generation's bluesmen. You know, these were the guys that made it through to the mainstream and brought, you know, it's like Stevie Ray kind of brought blues or blues rock back to the mainstream, kind of made it cool again. And you know, for a while there in the 80s, you had him, you had Robert Cray, like I said before, bands like the Fabulous Thunderbirds, a few other guys that were doing hard blues rock guitar the way it was done in the 60s and early 70s. So, and I've got all of Stevie Ray's studio albums. They're all great. I just picked this one because I have the fancy One Step. But I can listen to Stevie Ray every single day and never get tired of it. So this album just kind of represents his whole catalog, even though it's not as large a catalog as I would have liked. But he is definitely up there among my all-time favorite artists, guitarists. It's just amazing. So enough said. Texas Flood from Stevie Ray. Then, another one that I've shown several times before is Harvest by Neil Young. This is always an album that I can put on that will relax me, that will make me feel a little more mellow. You know, it's warm acoustic songs. And Neil's voice, here's the back. Neil's voice is in fine form. His songwriting is top notch. His playing is stellar with the Stray Gators, among other musicians. And even though this was his biggest hit, and the records that he kind of made after this one were a reaction, we'll always have Harvest. And, you know, 20 years from now, if I'm still around, I'm still going to be playing this album. That's another probably hallmark of these 5 that I'm showing. You know, never get tired of it. Always glad that I have this in my collection. Harvest by Neil Young. And finally, another heavy box set. Live at Leeds by The Who. And you kind of see the theme, like 4 out of the 5 of, not 4 out of the 5, I think 3 out of the 5 of these were live albums. So, as much as I love Tommy, as much as I love Who's Next or Quadrophenia or any of the other Who albums, for me, Lie That Leads is the one that I play the most, even to this day, and enjoy the most. This is the Ultimate Collector's Superfan Edition. I've showed this before. I'll give you a spoiler. If you ran through my series, my top 100 album series, this was my number one album. So if you ask me today if it would still be number one, I don't know. It might have some competition, some stronger competition, but it would still be in my top 10 no matter what. But I love The Who. They're probably, again, one of my all-time favorite bands, and this is easily my all-time favorite album from them. And this contains the entire live version of Tommy Anyway, which I listen to way more than the studio version. Although I love the studio version, don't get me wrong, I've played that many times too. But once I got this, I put it on my iPod, my slowly dying iPod, and I've played it over and over and over and over and over and over again over the years, and I never get tired of it. Always makes me feel good, always makes me want to break out the air guitar. But this is the Who at their thundering peak. Would have loved to seen this show live. If I had a TARDIS, like I said before, I would go to see these guys during this time period. Easily, I would have loved to have done that. I've done it. I would do it over and over and over again. So, The Who Live at Leeds is my fifth go-to album. And there were others that I could have picked. I didn't want to run this video too long. I was gonna do the Hall & Oates Greatest Hits Rock and Soul Part 1, but compilations and greatest hits aren't allowed. So I couldn't pick just one Hall & Oates album. I'd have to pick like 3 or 4 or 5. So that's why it's just easier to show the greatest hits. But that was going to be one of my alternates. There was going to be, I was thinking Van Morrison, but again, I don't know if I could have just narrowed it down to just one to represent his catalog. So I could have easily done 10 or 15 or 20 more, but I want to keep this a little on the shorter side. We're approaching 13 minutes here, so I'm going to kind of cut it off. Congratulations, Steve, on hitting 1,000 subs. That's great. Very proud of you. Very happy for you. And just keep doing what you're doing, man, because I watch most of your videos. I know I don't comment on all your videos every single time, but I'm watching. And you're one of my favorites, so I'm glad you're part of the VC. Okay, guys, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for watching. And hope to be around again soon. So until then, peace. It's Jeff, your boy. And I'll see you again soon. Take care.